Light on the wabash, how I long for my Indiana home.
And now for the most famous words in motorsports.
Drivers, start your engine!
Right on the tail of Marco Andretti! Can a teenager win in Indianapolis? Here's the finish. Sam Horton Jr. makes the pass. He'll win it. Sam Horton Jr.
It's not a tour de force. It's a tour de pin.
I don't know what it is. Danny Sullivan gets him. Danny Sullivan gets him down. No, he's swirling. No, he's spinning. Danny Sullivan spins. But he goes around twice and gathers it in.
Absolutely incredible. Danny Sullivan headed for victory lane in Indianapolis.
Our twin checkered flag in the air. It's a battle at the start-finish line. And Joseph Newgarden will win the Indianapolis 500-mile race. Davey Hamilton, he finally gets the buggy off him, but the pass makes it stick. Joseph Newgarden goes back-to-back, wins the 108th running of the Indianapolis 500-mile race.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first day of pole day. Tomorrow is the most anticipated day of pretty much all the lifetime at the Indy 500, and that is bump day. Bump day has everything that you could ever dream of. I don't know if you could ever imagine just think about it like the NCAA tournament. I mean, you have your 1/16 seed, you have your 14 over a 3 seed, you got your 2 over a 15 seed. You basically have all your Cinderella stories encapsulated inside one tournament. Well, just take it 2 months later into the month of May, and we just have pole day and bump day to talk about. So that was huge today. We're going to get into pole day, but first I want to get into the practice that happened yesterday. Of course, there was an accident to Kiffin Simpson, and Kiffin Simpson is okay. He actually walked out of the medical tent fine, and he was actually doing well, in good spirits from what I saw, the videos and stuff that I saw. And I remember seeing him, and it really just was a very shocking accident. Of course, there were 2 times even today with Colton Herta. His car went airborne today in a very weird and exotic accident that happened on pole day today. So he might be running in bump day tomorrow, which, like I said, is the most exhilarating day of the year. But the third practice was actually not interrupted by rain. They actually started the practice from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. But that's where this podcast needs your support. Where I used to live in Bloomington, Indiana, was deeply impacted by the storms that occurred yesterday. There was a massive tornado that swept through Cedar Creek, Indiana, which is just south of Bloomington. And then also there were areas hit by in Linton, Indiana. There were incidents just far east of Indianapolis that were also struck. But the worst casualties of what we saw yesterday were in Kentucky. Kentucky had the worst. And this donation down in the description below and on our page will actually help hundreds of people get back on their feet. Some people are literally homeless. Some people have died because of this incident. And because of this, we give a full-hearted, superior chance to honor the people and what they stand for. Because these are human beings, and they lost their lives due to Mother Nature. And it's upsetting in a lot of ways that this storm happened in Bloomington. We are okay. My mom and sister are okay. We are all okay. They're home that are actually my mom and sister are okay after the storm. And it really just turned a lot of perspectives around tornadoes. I mean, we were in a tornado in my neck of the woods on March 14th and 15th. And that tornado swept through here. I'm just thankful that so far, through the cleanup and everything else, that most of the people that I heard online are okay. The cleanup effort has already begun in Cedar Creek, Indiana. And I ask down at the description below that you donate to either the American Red Cross, to one of the Bloomington organizations or Ryan Hall and the donate to them, because that's not just important, it's essential. And these people have just, some of them might have lost their lives. They're still scouring through the damage. And they think the last I saw, there was about 800 people still left without power. So this was a really chaotic storm, and really one that all of us want to forget about. All of us want to forget that this actually happened. But I mean, it was a terrible storm, a terrible twister. And I wish everybody the best throughout the cleanup process. We went through this about 2 months ago. I believe in everybody. I believe you can actually clean up, because it's super important. It is super important to deal with that and be productive and help out others as well, because that's what it's all about. We're all human and we should help each other. That's basically what this whole memo is. And yes, in terms of practice yesterday, there were a lot of fast drivers. Like I mentioned throughout this podcast tonight, I'm going to mention a lot about Penske Racing. It's not only did they have the single best practice laps of the entire day, on pole day today, they had the best run I've ever seen out of any cars in my lifetime. And I'm telling you, they are so good, in fact, that either Alex Palou and Joseph Newgarden are now my heavy favorites to win the Indianapolis 500. It's so big that Penske's made it this far that many people will begin questioning and actually understanding, like, wow, what in the world did we just watch? And I was just amazed by seeing how Penske was driving those cars today. I mean, they were just full throttle, full speed ahead. I mean, it was not even a laughing joke yesterday and today how good Penske Racing is. And it's huge. It's just huge to see that. And I'm just saying that it was huge seeing how Penske performed today. I mean, they ran an incredible car. They had an incredible day. And I'm just saying that it was a fun outing for a lot of the Penske drivers today, including Joseph Newgarden and Alex Palou. And at this point, I think Palou is so good he may actually win this entire race. I'm not even joking. He's so good that I think he is unstoppable throughout the day. One thing I noticed from yesterday compared to today was that, like I mentioned before I mentioned about the tornado, was that Colton Herta had a really horrible accident, just like Kiffin Simpson had yesterday. And it was a very crucial accident, to say the least, as driver safety is the number one goal for everybody, but to have these flips and turns, and now everybody's saying that the sport's basically unwatchable. I'm like, if you see crashes like this, especially on the Indy 500, don't sign me up, sign me off, because I just said these crashes could really hurt a lot of people. 2 years ago, we had a tire go up in the stands. So I'm really glad that these cars have really helped a lot of drivers and fans be safe, but the crashes themselves are vicious in nature, and everybody's safety is very important, so I'm hoping that's a highlight for this year. And so I do have the results from actually today's pole day. Alex Palou is in first place, who ran a time of 233.043 seconds, or 43 miles an hour. Second place is Scott McLaughlin at 233.013 miles an hour. Those are not track records, by the way. That is still not been broken by anyone yet. And that's really showing you how these cars aren't as fast as they used to be. Then Joseph Newgarden will be in the third spot for now. Pato O'Ward in fourth. Scott Dixon in fifth. Robert Schwartzman in sixth. David Malakis, who you thought, I mean, if you heard me on the last two episodes, I said Malakis was not going to have a good car. Today, he really did. He had one of the more better cars out there, more of an underdog take if you want to take him in the betting odds. But he looked pretty good today. Kind of like journalist over at the Preakness Stakes. Felix Rosenquist is in 8th. Takuma Sato at 9th. Will Power at 10th. Marcus Ericsson at 11th. Christian Lundgaard at 12th. And then Connor Daly. What about Connor Daly at the end of that race? at the end of the qualifying session. Man, oh man. He completely dumped people today, including Marco Andretti. And if you try to dump a king like Marco Andretti, oh my gosh, that's going to give him fire for tomorrow, especially on the day 2 of bump day. That's going to give a lot of drivers a lot of fuel to be like, hey, I need to finish at least in the top 20 to even make a position at the 500. Connor Daly surprised a lot of people today, and I'm proud of him. The Columbus, Indiana native had a time of 231.725 miles an hour. Then 14th place was Alexander Rossi at 231.701 miles an hour. 15th was Kippen Simpson, who we mentioned yesterday, had a horrible accident that could have really hurt somebody, and even himself had a time of 231.641 seconds. And Carpenter is actually going to round out in row 6, being that he had a time of 231.633 seconds. It's good to see him out there, and it was really good seeing him run on the lead lap, especially at one point. He had a time of 231.633 miles an hour. And then at 17th position, you had Santino Ferrucci with the time of 231.593 miles an hour. Delvin DeFrancisco was in 18th for Rahal Letterman, and he had a time of he had a miles per hour of 231.575 miles an hour. And then to actually round out, we have Stingray Robb at 231.461 miles an hour. Christian Rasmussen at 231.438 miles an hour. The Kyle Larson, who's making his second appearance at the Indy 500, has a time of 231.326 miles an hour. Luis Foster, the rookie, had a time of 231.058 miles an hour. And then 23rd is Callum Milot with the time of 230.993 miles an hour. Helio Castroneves with Meyer Shank Racing, not Penske, raced at a time of 230.978 miles an hour. Kyle Kirkwood, and here is row 9. So Kyle Kirkwood is on row 9 with a time of 230.917 miles an hour. And then Nolan Siegel has a time of 230.571 miles an hour. And Ryan Hunter-Reay had a time of 230.363 miles an hour at 27th position. Now, here are the drivers that are going to round out row 10, and then we'll list the 4 tomorrow that will be fighting for a spot in the Indianapolis 500-mile race, and we'll try to bump their way into the field. So first, let's get into the last row, row 10, and then we will get to the bump day candidates. At 28th, as of right now, Jack Harvey is leading at 28th position with a time of with a miles per hour rating of 230.348 miles an hour. 29th was Colton Herta with a time of 230.192 miles an hour, even after he had a vicious crash earlier today. And at 30th position is Graham Rahal, who 2 years ago was actually snubbed from going to the Indianapolis 500 thanks to the driver 2 spots before him, which was Jack Harvey, with a time of 229.863 miles an hour. And so the last chance drivers that will be racing and possibly will finish row 11 and row 12 tomorrow will be Marco Andretti, Rinus VeeKay, Jacob Abel, and Marcus Armstrong. Today, Marco Andretti ran a time of 229.859 miles an hour. And Rinus VeeKay ran a time of 229.249 miles an hour. Jacob Abel, who, in my opinion, will actually lose his spot, will go to have the time of 226.483 miles an hour. And then Marcus Armstrong had no 4-lap speed today. So that is huge. That's huge. As these 3 drivers will comprise of row 11, and one will not make the race tomorrow, according to sources. And so we have 12 of the fastest drivers today, which by order were Alex Palou, Scott McLaughlin, Joseph Newgarden, Pato O'Ward, Scott Dixon, Robert Schwartzman, David Malakis, Felix Rosenquist, Takuma Sato, Will Power, Marcus Ericsson, and Christian Lundgaard. and then you round out the bottom of the field, and these drivers are just basically from row 8 all the way down to row 10. Everybody is going to be super concerned about where they're at, where they stand. But as of right now, those 12 that I listed are locked for the race. Everybody else is just awaiting their fate, especially if you're definitely on the bottom of the grid, especially if you're 31, 32, and 33 on the list. If you're other than that, I mean, you're good. You're safe. You're fine. Every year during bump day, like I mentioned in the beginning, is a time for these 4 drivers, Marco Andretti, Rinus VeeKay, Jacob Abel, and Marcus Armstrong, to really gain positions and solidify themselves in the great race, great spectacle in racing. And many people would actually give credit to that for the fact that a lot of these drivers are just attempting, it's either do or die for them, basically. It's do or die. And if you die, it's over. It is over for you until next year, where you can try again and race for a better position. Now, we've had some crazy bump day moments, but it's one of my favorite days of the Indianapolis 500 calendar, because this race really means that the racing in general is fun and exciting. But it's more like how in the NCAA tournament you have your underdogs and you have your teams that are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seeds, and they're just have been blessed and fortunate to make it in the field. But then you got the other guys, the St. Peters, the Valparaisos, the Davidson Colleges of the world, and they're trying to fight for a spot in the bump day field. And so tomorrow's going to be really interesting. But like I told you earlier today, Penske was tough, but these guys really have to fight. They are the 16, 15, 14 seeds in March. They're trying to win it to be in it. They're trying to qualify to be in this race, to be solidified in the tournament. And they're already going to the Sweet 16. They just need to make it to the Final 4. There's been some exciting and crazy moments over the years. Crazier than even I imagined. And every year it tends to be that bump day is one of my favorite days of the calendar on the month of May. As it's everything, it's human nature and human interest in a nutshell. I mean, it's really where underdogs really have to compete. And so tomorrow, for those that do not know, the fastest 12 drivers from Saturday will go for a pole position. The slowest for a battle for the 3 spots on row 11. And one driver will not make the race. So that means that we'll also, in addition to having bump day, be a day where drivers in last position are trying to fight for the first position, but we will also have drivers who will try to really make it into the field, and drivers that really can advance inside careers and really give teams a lot of money. I think it's like $4 million that teams give to solidify themselves in the field. So it's a very exciting moment for pretty much everyone involved. Everyone's excited for this race, and everyone gets super excited when it comes down to this. And when it comes down to this, the race almost becomes second nature at one point. It's all about the qualifying and getting in and being the pole sitter. Because let me tell you this, Alex Palou might not be the leader tomorrow. It might be Scott McLaughlin. It might be Pato O'Ward. It might be David Malakis. It might be Takuma Sato. Who knows? And in the 33rd spot, who knows who's going to take that at the end of the day? Those are the last drivers, and there were some crazy ones, like the one year, 2019, I think it was when Fernando Alonso was in Indianapolis, and there was this driver who no one had ever heard of in their entire life. He was 23 years old, and he actually knocked off the greatest giant in all of motorsports. And it's incredible, even to this day, how big that even was. Because that Fernando Alonso, he was not even going to do good in the race anyway. That's what I thought about it. He's not good with Indy cars. He was a whole lot better with F1 vehicles. And that's why drivers like Kyle Larson really don't scare me, but they just make me nervous. And so everybody is making sure that everything's going to be fine. the weather should be a lot better. I mean, the weather is going to be a lot better throughout the weekend, and it's going to rain Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. But then by Carb Day, the weather should be almost perfect. I mean, it should be perfect, pristine weather at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. As a reminder, the Indianapolis Star has reported that the gates will open at 10 p.m. and it will stay open all the way through the last chance qualifying sessions from 5:15 to 6:15 p.m. And so from 4 to 7, it will be on Fox, and from 1 to 3, it will be on Fox Sports 2. And of course, tickets are still available for that, actually. So if you can't make it to the actual Indy 500, you can actually go to the qualifying sessions. And that's where I really wish they had the Indy Lights Series race again in their race in Indianapolis. That was always fun, always exhilarating, and the Penske's have kind of taken the fun out of that. So, yeah, there was a lot more I was going to describe about that, but I do actually miss that series. It was the Indy Lights Series is still around, but I mean, it was just fun. Seeing them race on the oval like that, it was actually pretty fun. But yeah, of course, some of the top drivers, 3 were Penske. Pato O'Ward ran a great time today, and he's been officially locked in for the race, as he reported on his Twitter page. And he says, quote, "Tomorrow we will send it and shoot for the first front row start tomorrow." And so that's going to be a lot of fun as well. Weather was super nice, and Doug Boyles was also signing stuff too as well. Just a fun day all around to be at the Motor Speedway. We're just hoping that tomorrow can be the same. We're just really hoping that tomorrow can absolutely be the same. And there's also information coming out that the Knicks and Pacers will be playing their Eastern Conference Final Game 3 matchup in Indianapolis. It's got to be crazy in the city. It's just going to be nuts. This has happened before. They did actually have the Eastern Conference Finals on the day of the 2004 Indy 500. And that was fun. I mean, the race, it was rained out. There was a vicious tornado. But in the midst of all that, Conseco Fieldhouse was still full of people watching the Pacers continue on in their playoff series, where they got dumped by the Pistons. And so the Pistons would later win the championship, and then next year, the rest is history. So the Pacers are going to be playing. Keep an eye out for traffic. It could get very hectic in downtown Indianapolis on race day. And it could also get very, very, very hectic around the Bloomington and Indianapolis areas. So plan accordingly for travel and that sort of stuff. It's next Sunday, ladies and gentlemen, a week from tomorrow. And we cannot wait to cover more of it for you. And whether you're remote or not, this is going to be fun. This is going to be exciting. Thank you all so much for listening. Gentlemen, start your engines. You can follow us online at ontheedge.com, and we have more coverage coming very soon of the Indianapolis 500, including specials and interviews, including one next Tuesday. Thank you all so much for listening. Have a good night, and start your engines, because the 500 is coming soon. Goodbye, everyone. See you tomorrow.